mine. I wouldn't be surprised if my dog comes here next.
Welcome, everyone, to the Monday night show. And we do have a special guest in the background at CB's house. What's your dog's name, mate?
That's Georgie going nuts.
Georgie, okay. So,
named after an ex-girlfriend?
Family friendly show.
More than what we saw on Thursday night, mate.
How are you, Jen?
Sorry, hang on.
No, that's all right. Good. It's not your dog for once, there, Tiggs.
No. He had his walk. We took him for his walk before I did the show, so he should be right.
He's calmed down a bit now. He's calmed down.
That's it. How you been, Michael? You been good, mate?
Yeah, not been too bad. Just working from home and doing all the Arcanary stuff. It's all kicking off, so it's good. Playing some Rust on PlayStation with the boys. It's been good. So.
Oh, my son's into Rust in a big way. He's my oldest. He's like in a national state champion team, whatever it is. Like he's right into it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been in competitions. He got offered to be sponsored. Him and this team is in. Yeah, so yeah, he's pretty big into it.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd like it, but it's enjoyable playing with friends. So
yeah,
no, it's good fun. And what about you, CB? How you been?
Yeah, good. I'll give you a reminder of why it's very important if your children play sport that you should have your ambulance cover and things. So fortunately, we do with our private health and things like that. But today I received a bill for $1,800 after my young fella was put into an ambulance getting knocked out 2 weekends ago.
You don't have ambulance cover?
We do. So I'm just saying, how lucky is that? So if you don't and your kid plays a contact sport, you may want to rethink that because, it was a bill for over $1,800.
It's not even for contact sport. Like I've had it. My whole family's got the ambulance cover. What is it like? It was originally like $25, and then it's gone up and up. But it's still really competitive, and it's important, particularly if you're European. Sometimes you can't get up in the morning because our junk is really, really heavy. So sometimes you might need a little bit of ambulance support, and to get that, it doesn't cost you anything.
No, it's always good to have that cover. And young fella's doing well, CB.
Yes, yeah. It wasn't good, but I was just to make the scans actually showed he had a brain in his head, mate. Who would have thought teenage boy with a brain in his head? But no, we come out of it all right. He's just got a couple of fractures in the cheek, but it wasn't for him. It was just chasing a kid, woke up in an ambulance. For us, it was a bit more of a horror show, so it wasn't a good one. But no, everything's good in my world, so can't complain.
Good to hear. No, I can only imagine.
G'day, everyone.
This trauma you would have gone through. Yeah, hello to everyone in the chat, sending through.
Hi everyone in chat. I love how Daniel just goes in. No foreplay, just ram.
This is a good therapy night. At least we've had a few days to digest what transpired, and we can think about it and go through it all bit by bit, I suppose. But what does he play, CB? It's football, isn't it? He was playing.
Yes, it was. Believe it or not, he got knocked out in a game of under 15s football, and he was wearing a helmet. So that's how hard the impact was.
Okay. All right. Before we get stuck into it, I know it is a bit of a therapy session for everyone involved. We do encourage everyone to like and share the show that you're watching on whatever platform you're on. We'll try and draw as big of a crowd as we can. Obviously, the game didn't go too well, CB, but take it away.
Righty, here we go. Righty, we did play a game last week, and unfortunately, the Tigers have dropped 3 in a row now. And this time, Gold Coast got us 10-17-77, defeated Richmond 10-7-67. But in reality, the margin probably should have been greater. We were just lucky they couldn't convert. So let's get into it. Michaels, would you like to go through your learnt, liked, and disliked for last weekend's schmozzle?
The dislike would have to be this. The dislike for me was the response. I was going to go broader and say the entire game, but that's a bit of a cop-out. It wasn't the response we were all expecting. I know we spoke about it, and everyone, not just us, but on social media, everywhere, that after the game we put up against the Saints, that you would have thought they were going to come out fired up and ready to go. So the dislike was that we just didn't come out to play, and it's starting to be a real concern. What did I like? I liked Tom Lynch's return. I mean, you can't complain about. I'm sorry if I took either of yours there. You can't complain about his return. If it wasn't for him, the margin would have been just a lot larger. and I learned that there's something else not right within the club, I feel anyway, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, that we just don't know about. It's just not a Richmond style. Declines don't happen that quickly on a natural scale. So there's something else that's not right that's causing this little bit of imbalance. But we're just outside the 8. But if we can still manage to scrape in somehow when we get our shit together the last few weeks, anything's possible, but it's not looking good for us.
Tiggs, what do you got for us, brother?
Yeah, thank you, brother. Light, I commented it during the game, is Lynch is just rammed home how important he is for our system of play. He's moving a lot freer, but what I really liked about him is that he's got that distance back in his kicking. If you're kicking 50, 55 metres, you can do that with penetration. So that was really, really good. Learned that people read into shit way too much. Particularly when it comes to Richmond. And what I mean by that is you've got the media that already making calls on us, and you've got, like, for example, what you just said there, Michaels. I've learned, I don't want to get too much into the Tiger Den, but, yeah, it's what I'm learning is that we're still, funny enough, we're working into the system, into the season. And people are going to say, but it's round 16. How can you be working into the season now? There's perfect reasons for it, and I'll explain that later. And what I disliked, our turnover game. Guys, you can never win a game of football. There was a perfect instance where I've forgotten who the player was. I think it was Bashay. He did a nice pass to Dustin Martin. Dustin Martin got the ball on the wing. Dustin Martin reels around and he hits McIntosh right on the tit. McIntosh then turns around. You've got Jack Rewalt, I think it was, leading up to him, beating his man. McIntosh goes to kick and scrubs it along the ground. And that's not just directed at Macca. All of them are doing it. And it's given it. I dislike it intensely. It's if you can't complete a chain, you can't. If you can't complete a movement chain, you can't break the lines. You can't break the lines. You can't move the ball forward properly, and you're done. So yeah.
And Stevie.
So I liked Tom Lynch's return, mate. 5 goals too, 13 disposals, 6 marks, 2 tackles. It just goes to show how crook he was in the first half of the year, I reckon, with how much better he moved on last week. What I learnt, our guys need a full pre-season. There's a few boys out there, and they're absolutely cooked physically. That's what I learnt. And disliked the ground invaders. Grow up and piss off, you loser dickheads. I hate people and supporters like you. You got no purpose. Piss off. Don't like you. That was my dislike.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I want to touch on some stats quickly, and I know stats can be read into whichever way you want. But inside 50s, we got smashed 64-42, and that's usually a big strength of ours, is the amount of times in the repeated entries that we get. And as to your point at the start, CB, the margin should have been far greater. It definitely felt that way. Our efficiency inside 50, I know I touch on this one most weeks, but it's just so prominent. It was 38.1%, and again, well below our 2021 average of 47.4. You're not going to win many games going at 38.1. It's actually a miracle Lynch kicked 5. And the marks, here's the big one. The marks, we lost 120 to 57. Yeah. Like, in weeks gone by, we were well up on our season average of marks, and at the moment, we can't take one. And largely due to our shit skills at the moment, we just aren't hitting our targets and giving ourselves time to control the ball. Our average is 90.3. So that's kind of an indication of where we're at currently in the last couple of games.
Our midfield got absolutely smashed. I mean, pillared, crushed, broken in half. They could apply zero pressure in the centre of the ground. They could not defend the loose ball, and they could not get first possession post clearance. So when that happens to a side, and we saw it time and again, and CB's right. We were lucky we weren't 8 goals down in the first quarter, because the way they were just getting clearance straight in, penetrating inside 50. Our defenders, considering what they were putting up with, actually performed really, really well. That was our best line. It was just the worst I've ever seen a Richmond midfield, and I've seen some shit, right? And injuries do play a part, but it was just a lack of fight. It was a lack of work rate.
The frustrating thing for me is it was the experienced guys that were making all the mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of cop it on the chin if if you've got the young kids coming in to replace injured players here, there, and everywhere, that's fine. Like, I'm okay if they don't live up to the expectation straight off the bat. But when you've got Vlosten fumbling easy balls, Hawley, grubbing kicks, Koch missing easy targets, like, these guys need to be the ones steering the ship for us, and they're the ones that are kind of letting us down currently, and that's the concerning part for me.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And Touk Miller, I know we called it, he's had a good season so far, but any danger of us putting some kind of player on him to restrict his influence, that was just out of control.
I don't want to degrade this into a player bashing session. I'll put it this way. When you talk about what Touk Miller did, we are missing Toby Nankervis terribly.
Yeah.
And I think that's contributing tremendously to how much we're getting smashed out of the guts, because we've been belted out of the guts the last 3 games without him, particularly the last 3 games. And I just think we're lacking some physicality in one particular area in the middle.
Yeah, in saying that, though, we've used to, with our midfield, been able to compensate not having a dominant ruckman. So even if that's the case, like, we've had Nank not play before. What's showing me is our midfield have no spread. When a midfield can't get out to the outer ring quickly, this is how they look like. If the ball drops in close, we did actually some good work, and we actually got some clearances. But because they got such, I call it heavy legs at the moment, they can't spread. And if you can't spread, you get exposed. As soon as that ball goes over the inner ring that we're trying to do to try to combat it, we just get torn out. And it's just really disappointing. Nank will improve it out of sight. I'm not suggesting otherwise. And the other one that's not getting mentioned, and he should be, because he's crucial to us, in my belief, is Soldo.
Absolutely.
Soldo throws that extra point of difference from Nank. And obviously we have it in it. But as to losing, you don't lose your DNA. Your DNA, you don't have a way that you've been playing for 4 or 5 years and then all of a sudden just goes. We've got symptoms of why we can't produce our DNA. That's the difference.
But keep in mind, you're talking about the midfield, mate. We're playing blokes at a crook. Edwards got injured, was crook. Bolton's got a bung calf. That's why he's not playing well. That's not advertised. But we're playing blokes, and we paid the price with CCJ. Went into the game with a niggle and lasted one half.
Yeah, so, and Bloston's got a corky as well.
That's what I mean. So we're playing guys that are unfit. Or, you know what I'm saying? They're already crook going into these games. And I think that impacts our run and spread as well. So, yeah.
It's because we don't have the depth, because we've been smashed with injury. We don't have the depth that we can actually – and look, in a way, this is pleasing aspect. This is strong leadership internally by the club, because we could throw the kids to the wolves here. Like, dead set we could. But they're not doing it. They're trying to work through it. Now, admittedly, it looks like shit, right? But that, like Richmond journey, perfect point. But I've lost it, even though he's crook, still went at 94% efficiency. So, and they're not the type of injuries that's going to, really, it'll affect his mobility during game, but it will get better week by week by week. A week off won't really improve it overly much. So, but it's, my concern is, my real concern is that we're seeing now that, like, Bolton can't play through an injury. We're seeing it. So he should be rested and put someone like Stack in. Look, at the moment, if you're getting nothing from a player, this is a 3rd week in a row he's performed nothing because he's been injured. Just let him rest it. Get someone else in. That's my opinion. But I'm glad. I should have said and learned. We've 100% learned exactly where Chol is in our list, and we've learned where I think CCJ was injured, but where CCJ sits in our list. Yep. That's great. If you're going to go through this type of shit, you want to learn more about your list. We're going with open eyes, and we're getting that exposure now.
Yep. Yeah, it was a tough one to watch. I don't know whether it's one to bring up this episode or if we wait another game, but it does cross your mind at some point with at what point do you not – I want to say fly the white flag, but let's call it doing a West Coast of whatever year it was, where they kind of just slid down a little bit, when they had a good draft hand and reloaded for next year. Obviously, coming off the longer year, the shorter preseason, the bulk amount of injuries catching up on the same line, a lot of things aren't adding up. Does there come a point where we just sort of say, you know what, the guys who have got niggles, let's get them all fixed up and let's reload?
Would you like me to go into my bloodbath right now?
Is it, okay, if that's what's on it, then go for it. Then Tiggs can follow.
Yeah. So, rightio, I'm going to say some things that might be unpopular initially, but I just want people to sit back and digest what I'm saying. And because I could just say I'm going to say some things and people go, "Rah," but just relax and just listen to the logic, right? So my bloodbath is things aren't as bad as they seem. So we've currently lost 3 in a row, and externally, we're certainly the talking point. And a drop off the cliff has come sooner than we expected. But I ask you this, is it really that bad? Now, hear me out. My opinion is there is a silver lining to this situation. I feel the results may bring forward some conversations, and hard ones at that, with some club champions who had a possible view to possibly playing beyond this year. Well, what does that mean? It means we see the next generation finally get their chance after 2 to 4 years in our system of the VFL. Say the players are Cochin and Hooley, right? I'm just putting them out there because they're obvious ones to discuss. Is it a bad thing that RCD, Mansell, Rioli, Naish get a chance at it? Would it really be a bad thing if we finish 12th on the ladder this year? So just imagine we win a flag and then the following year get a pick in the top 10. And keep in mind, we've got 4 picks in the top 30 this upcoming draft, and 2 of them are first rounders. And the other is the Saints' first second round pick. So where's the downside in that? And finally, these poor players have had 4 limited preseasons due to the success we have had. Would it be a bad thing to see them refresh and get a full preseason under the belt? This, my Richmond friends, is the perfect chance to reset and reload for next season. The worst thing we could do right now is finish 8th and bomb out. And look what it did for the Eagles a few years ago. Remember they bombed out for a year? Everyone said they were stuffed. 2 seasons later, they lift a cup up. So this isn't a lost cause. In point of fact, this could be the genesis of the new beginnings. And who better to lead it than Damien Hardwick, the man who took the worst list since Fitzroy on his deathbed to a club that nailed 3 flags in 4 years. So don't despair. Rather appreciate the time you have as a supporter with these guys like Koch, Hooley, Dave, Shedder, Jack, Grimes, because they're not going to be around forever. And Basher Hooley, if you have played your last game for us, know this. You're a superstar person first and foremost, and a true 3-time premiership Richmond man, and we all love you. Done.
Yeah, I think there's definitely merit in it. I know there's going to be a lot of people who don't agree with it, and that's fine too. Everyone's allowed to have their own take on it. Yep. But it's just one of those things like how much can you keep putting the players through? You don't want to cause more long-term injuries to players who shouldn't be playing. And we've typically been really good at not doing that. But I know we're getting tested at the moment. So, Tiggs?
Yeah, I understand it's not going to be a popular view, but some things in there. But that's why people watch the show, mate. We roll things out that might be a little bit controversial at times.
Yeah.
My Tiger Den is more focused on, it was actually inspired by a question asked to me by a board poster, Something Wrong. Right now, that's incredibly racist handle, but that's his name, so don't go off at me. Any of my Asian brothers, right? But yeah, so Something Wrong asked me this. Love your trade info, Tiger71, but tell us what the issues are behind the scenes at Richmond. They're obviously seeing something going on because this is a fall from grace, is now embarrassing and an absolute disgrace. And so instead of just replying just off the cuff, I actually made a few phone calls to a couple of my mates. One's in the sports science industry, so he knows a bit about, mechanics, team function, impact of pre-season and all this sort of stuff. And I'll just abbreviate what I posted to him last week. Basically what we're witnessing, guys, and everyone that's writing us off, they're writing us off based on hope, right? Some of the comments saying about, this, I'll go on and explain why we're playing inverted commas injured players as well. I just basically said, look, it's the perfect storm what we're going through at the moment. Injuries have been a huge factor. Now, that's not an excuse, right, guys? It's a fact. Till the Bride rounds, we had consistently had 10 to 13 top-line players not playing, predominantly in the midfield. Just go through an injury list and you'll see that paves the way. Most missed 2, 3, 4 weeks in the bye period. It was good 13 of our top 22. Do that to any other side, they will struggle. But we still managed, however, to win more games than we lost. So that's actually a really good positive, right? What's also hurt us in that past fortnight of losses, we lost basically 4 players against the Saints, and we again lost another 3 players during Gold Coast Suns. Now, let me be clear, that's not the reason why we lost those games, right? But it impacts it if you follow my logic here. So if we analyse what's going on, so we have a playing list has been, if we get the whole picture here, now the big picture, we have a playing list who's been playing a really taxing brand of footy for 4 years. I really say it's 4.5 years, but it's 4 years, right? We've had awesome success with it. So we've basically had 16 weeks more than 16 other clubs of high-octane pressure finals footy. Now, we've mentioned it just before, but add the fact that it was a dramatically shortened preseason. It was like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, right? And if you guys remember going right back at the beginning of the year, I was really stressed out by the information I was getting from Shane, how it being too short. So basically what's happened is because we have a conditioning program which is the best in the league, it's based on the normal season rotation. We obviously could not put that work into the players. And a lot of our older boys' bodies have broken, and we've witnessed that. It's not because there's an issue at the club with Dimmer, right? I just want to put this out. I've asked everyone that would know. I'm not into housewife tales and stuff like that, but if you seriously believe it's Dimmer's wife and this and that and I know all the stories are out there. It's not. The players still love Dimmer. If they didn't, I'll be the first one to say it, right? And there's no me rubbing my ears as I'm lying to you now. The players love Dimmer. That has not broken. The players still love each other. That has not broken, right? On my kids, I tell you this from what I've been told, I truly believe. But this is what's causing it at the moment. We had the shorter pre-season, right? So, also the older bodies we've been exposed by the way the game's changed as well. It's a different type of football that needs to be played. So that's compounded that. So that's compounding the injury issues because the guys are running and their patterns are changing and all that sort of stuff. So you stack on the short pre-season, our increase and our risk for injury just skyrocketed. Now we're copping those injuries, and here's where we're at. Also, don't forget this point. We also got fined 100K. It means Leper can't be replaced, which means every assistant coach has had to change lines, responsibilities and roles, and we haven't been able to get that IP replacement in there, right? So if you put all of that together, it's a perfect storm and wise as shit. Now, it doesn't mean our destiny's over. I'm a bit different from CB. It's not. If you think football ended now, you'll be right. It'll be over, but it's not. The way I sort of see it, I don't see Mass retiring. I was looking at Asprey's game, and he played a solid game for me. And I'm just thinking, I was just thinking, could he extend one more year? But no, from what I think, we'll probably lose 1 or 2 players that just would have gone anyway, regardless of what happens here this year. Because I in a way don't want us to play finals. I want Cochin, Prestia to actually, and a couple other boys to get an extended preseason to completely their body refreshed. Add in a couple of elite targets we're targeting in. Add in sort of a couple of draft, and no one's better at picking quality in the draft than us, particularly we've shown that. And with the good quality team we still have, a lot of people are losing belief on our quality team if you listen to the media. They're still a high-quality team, quality forward line, quality back line. Grimes can play another 2-3 years, We can bounce back next year really hard, and I'll challenge anyone. We won't fall any lower than a preliminary final next year. That's how confident I am. So, yeah, for me, this is not a negative. This is unfortunately what we've just been ambushed. This is just a perfect storm of shit, and it leads me to believe the biggest elephant in the room. That's why I'm so stoked that fucking Hocking's no longer at the club, that fucking prick. Excuse the language, everyone. It's finally come out that we all surmised. Who remembers me telling you 15 months ago that the noise was around that he was applying for the CEO job? I can pull up that post on BigFooty. I said he's applying for, and I got told off, oh, no, it's a rumour. I said, no. He's applying for that CEO job. So Gill would have known. How can a CEO allow a flog, change the rules, fining players, MRO decisions, all that sort of stuff while he's applying to go back to the club that he just came from? It doesn't do the sniff test. And I'm glad it's finally come out that he was the one that put the standing in the mark rule on. And it was from his time at the Hub and him getting his anus all butthurt because we smashed the Cats.
Well, no, it was well known. He attended a Richmond training session. He was really pissed off with what he saw with how we were training. So he is specifically. And I'll give you a conspiracy theory. I've got my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah. Hang on, before you do, listeners, start getting your questions ready because we'll jump into your questions after this Steve Hocking talk. Go, CV.
All right. So tell me, did Geelong go a youth policy this year, or did they recruit some? Did they recruit some players who were very, very well skilled but not that quick?
Yeah, because they knew what the rule was coming.
Correct. Hocking absolutely gave them a leg up before the draft that had come along. Bloody oath he did.
You know they trialled the new rule at Geelong 6 weeks before any other club?
Correct.
That's proven.
Yes.
Proven.
Yep.
6 weeks before any other club.
Yep.
It is just, look, guys, someone mentioned in chat, will Benny Gale go? You know what we need? I was in the mindset that Benny Gale, please, never leave, never leave, never leave. I'm completely reversed on that. I would love Benny Gale to be the CEO of the AFL. And he won't go pro-Richmond. I'm not naive enough to think so, but what he will do, he will have integrity across every single line. He will get a balance between all clubs and say, all right, if Richmond likes to block the corridor, that's not bad. That's footy. We like contested footy. At the moment, football's played between the arcs. That's what the football is. They crucify the centre of the ground. If you do a contest within the centre of the ground, you get penalised. You tackle, holding the man. You anything. Arm chop, because to speed that centre of the ground up. So it's basically ping-ponging, and it's basketball.
If you want to get a real reason as to why Brendan Gale needs to take over as AFL CEO, read Michael Warner's book, The Boys Club.
Exactly.
And then you will purely understand how Gil McLaughlin should never have been put into that situation, because he knows where all the bodies are buried, and he just kept the show rolling from his mate Andy D. And you know what?
You know the reality that's going to happen to CB Michaels? They'll get Chris Scott in. Yeah, they'll get Chris Scott in.
Get on North for the three-peat.
No. He's North. He won't be from North. Fucking, how lucky is Brad Scott? Like, let's be fucking honest, right? He's had a sycophant in Steve Shocking supporting him, giving him all this intel, all this sort of shit. And now he's got, now he'll get his brother in the same, 100%. That's what's going to happen. Read the tea leaves. That's exactly.
But they already flagged it. Someone's already written an article that he's a probable candidate to take the job.
Oh, fucking not surprised. Yeah, not surprised. Yeah, not surprised. We'll get it.
I'll tell you this. You want to see some good footage? Watch last year's grand final.
Yeah.
When Damien Hardwick walks down the race. Watch what he does when he goes past Stephen Hocking. Stephen Hocking looks like he's sucking on a lemon, and Dimmer lets out a big woo and claps the hands as he's walking past. And you can't tell me there was something in it.
Can I just answer?
Well timed.
Before we go to question, can I just answer Travis Frost's question? If you boys don't mind, if I can get given 2 seconds. Travis, great question, mate. Look, preparing for 2022, how do we see this year out? The year's not over yet. I had a really good chat with Shane this morning. It's my mate. That's in the sport industry. And he said to me, Mick, you guys just have to get through the next 3 weeks. Forget top 4, forget top 6. We're aiming for bottom 8, 7 or 8. So we can lose either Geelong or the Cats. But what we need to do is, at the moment, there's a term, what did he call it? Overloading. That's what we're doing at the moment, is overloading, right? Anyone in the sport industry probably know what that means. That's what they're going through at the moment. Once they get past that patch, watch a springboard. We will start to get our run back. We'll start to get our spread back. We'll start to be able to accommodate.
That's correct. And
that will come. And he said to me,
skill issues as well.
He said this to me.
We've got too many injuries. We've lost a midfield line completely. Now we've lost a full defensive line with still 2 of our best inside mid.
That's why I said
we are rat shit, mate.
Yeah, Okay, but what I'm saying, what overloading apparently does, is it does affect your ability, your skill execution. It does. It's normally done off season, not pre-season. I mean, pre-season, not in season. But that's apparently what we're doing.
I pray you're right, and I'm sure we all.
I hope he's right. But if we can,
I just think we're injured and we're sore and we're physically gone, and there's nothing, no harm, there's no shame in that.
No,
the boys have
not.
played a magnificent effort for 4 years.
But I won't write the season off till it's mathematically that we can't do it, because you know what's funny?
I'm okay with that. Like, not but
when the players get in there and they smell finals, you think seriously, injured or not, they're not going to lift a couple of gears?
Well,
problem is, mate, the rest of training for the same thing. So I just think
because this number one pick, the 2 first rounders, obviously I'm going with the mindset of what I know. We'll probably only use one of them. So I don't care how deep or how bottom we go. We'll probably only use one of those. So it's I'm excited.
All right, let's get stuck into some listener questions. CB, this one for you. Who captains our club next year? This is on the assumption that Koch either is playing but not captaining or not playing at all. Octavio still believes Lynch is the number one option.
I could see why he'd say that. It's a hard one, because does Jack Rewalt in his final year, does he deserve the standalone gig for a year and then hand it over? I think Nick Vlosten's on record saying he doesn't want it. So I know a lot of people think Nick would be an awesome leader, and I agree. I wonder, see Dylan Grimes again, he's coming. You're probably looking at that Jack Graham age group, aren't you? That will be the next sort of 7-year skipper type. I don't think it's Lynch. I wouldn't be surprised if they give it to maybe Jack for a year, and then I think they'll reassess after that, because I think Jack's an out-and-out champion. He's captained the club numerous times in Cochin's absence, and I think out of respect for him and his greatness, I think he'd probably be the 1-year skipper if Trent didn't do it next year.
Out of interest, who would you go?
Yeah, I'd be a toss. Grimes would be my main one. I'd go Grimes. Graham's an easy guy to look at, and I agree with everything CB said. He was my instinctive choice, but no, Grimes for me. But another one, just a dark. I know he's always been injured. If he can get his body right, pressure for me. He's loud, he's vocal, he's much admired within the club, and he's a workhorse. So, yeah.
Sorry, don't forget we've got a guy called D. Martin that runs around as well. And he's all right too.
Before we get to the next question, this is an interesting comment. Hey, I just want to let you know that Tom Green started following Richmond on Instagram today. There we go. It's always nice when those things follow up.
Yeah, can I clear this up quickly? For us to get Tom Green, he has to nominate us. Just let you guys know that, right? Yeah. But we're hopefully doing enough work to make that happen. But he has to nominate us. GWS holds all the cards. But the news I heard just fucking as recently as yesterday, it looks pretty good. But he has to nominate us.
All right.
Question without notice, Tiggs. Here's the meter. Here's the needle. Sarah, Green. Which way are we going?
Why not both? Is that how the gift goes? Why not both?
Jesus, wow.
Why not both? Look, Sarah, from what I heard, I'm a lot more positive about it than negative. I'm getting more positive every week that he hasn't re-signed. And I can 100% tell you he's not going to Carlton, he's not going to Essendon, he's not going to North Melbourne. It's us.
Brett Hardy on Perth Radio last week said the same thing. He said the strong word is about Sarah and Richmond.
Yeah, and it's not going to be fucking 700, 800,000 a year and all this sort of shit. He's brought into what we've sold him.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I'll say. He's brought into what we've sold him.
Hopefully our own players can rebuy into what we're selling as well sometime soon too. Would be nice. Tiggs, how badly are we missing Soldo with an injured neck? We are so exposed at the ruck contest.
Yeah, look, Soldo, and they're warriors in a side. Like Nankervis is one, but Soldo's the other. People forget that Soldo's a physical ruckman. He's young, he's still raw, but if he likes to hurt the opposition when he gets an opportunity to do so, and that screams Richmond. He's also a really good mark for his size, and what I love about him, which is rare in a ruckman, he's a dead-eye dick for goal. If I wanted anyone in the team to shoot for my life, it would be Soldo. Just look at his scoring statistics. He rarely misses. And he normally gets flogs like CB laughing, thinking he's going to miss, but he rarely misses. He really does.
This is really has a shot.
I can't wait to get you a text next time he's lined up a goal from 40 out. This is going to be wild.
No, I love him. Within 35. Yeah. Oh, Narkle's happening.
Now we've got caveats.
Narkle, lock him in. Narkle's happening. Yeah. Narkle's happening.
That is sexy.
Yeah.
Jack, we did mention, Tiggs mentioned that Prestia could be a prospective captain. CB, if, for example, we are to replace one or two assistants, what option should we be looking at?
Well, we get $100,000 back, which means we can actually add a coach back into the line. So,
do you think any of the existing guys have to go? Do you think we need that much of a restructure, or is it just a matter of getting him looking after the right line that they're best suited to again with the additional person?
I think with the additional person, there'll be a reset. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because as we said last week, this year was the first year that all line coaches were coaching a completely different line. And it's what the Bulldogs did in 2017 after they won the flag, and they kind of struggled as well.
And it shows their connection sucks moving the ball. There's just so many. We're so clunky in a lot of the things we're doing. So, like I said, this preseason coming up is going to be absolutely monstrous for this football club. Monstrous.
Yeah. I've heard, I hope it's true rumour, if Chris Newman doesn't get one of the senior jobs, there's strong mail that we've made a fairly big pitch for him to come back home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for a defensive line.
I'm feeling that.
Because he's pretty good. He's actually really, really good. If you look at some of the mechanisms that he does under Clarkson, he's had his Lipper will never come back. I've heard, or if that fails, that Collingwood, look to Collingwood, will be taking one of their coaching guys.
Did you hear, is it true what I heard today, Mitchell's pulled out of the Pies race?
Correct. He declared himself no longer in the race.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
That to me suggests there is a plan in place for him to take over Clarko at some stage. I'm not saying next year, but CB, what were your thoughts on Matty Parker's VFL game? I think he had another 28 or 29 touches. I think he had a huge amount of tackles again too.
Meadow. Just you wait till you see my Inge, young man, and all your prayers and dreams will be answered. I think we have nothing to lose. Part of sort of to do with my bloodbath, he's one of the guys I'm thinking of. We've got nothing to lose by giving this guy a bit of a run at it.
He applies tackle pressure. He applies tackle pressure and his run. Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. 2 out of 3 games, 10 tackles. It's good.
Yeah. And his disposal can't be any worse than who is in the side now. You know what I mean? Let's be truthful. So let him go there. Let him knock a few heads over.
Great call, Cogger.
Bring back Sean Grigg as ruck coach. Yeah, very good.
He's thinking now that he's had the hoops on. I love Grigg, but I just can't get over it.
Got a big game coming up this week, Tiggs. Let's get cracking into the game versus Collingwood.
It is a big game. We lose this, we're done. We're close to being done because then we've got Brisbane, I think, after that, and which is going to really shit me because the Brisbane game I've been excited for all year since they booed us off the ground, and to go there as a shell of a team would break me, but it hasn't happened yet. Collingwood, we have a chance to reset. We're playing a side as bad out of form as we are, but they've shown periods of holding it together for longer, like they did that burst against St Kilda. But you're right. It's like two cripples going at it. Look, if we can freshen the boys up this week, they're playing Collingwood. Both clubs will be insulted. They're playing at what time on Sunday? Are we playing?
10.
4:10. You know what that is? You know what that is? That's Steve Hawking's fuck you before he leaves the door to the two biggest.
Well, it's not his call, but anyway. That's all right.
I bet you. It's fucking. I blame him for everything.
I'll say this. I don't give a shit who wins the premiership this year. It's so long as it's not Geelong. I don't give a shit. Yeah. If it's GWS, Go GWS. I do not. So long as Geelong don't win it, that's the final. Fuck you to Hocking too.
Yeah. So on the game itself, both teams obviously are in a transitional phase in relation to Collingwood. They brought in kids. For us, injuries cause our form line. If we can freshen up the boys, it's probably the game that we need. If we can get the game plan simple. Really load up, all right, go ball, get ball type of game plan. Just knock it forward. Don't worry about standing the mark, shit, all this sort of stuff. Let's just pressure. That's what we want. That's what we're going to – if we can do that, because Collingwood will give us the opportunity to do that because they will naturally just defend and flood their back line. So that's going to open up a lot of the ground for us to share it around and build that confidence with ball in hand that we're missing. So it's going to be a fascinating game. Look, we need to win it. There's no other option. We have to win this game. What's great, Lynch is in form. Even though, like I said, we said our backline's been decimated, it's still okay. We're still pushing teams wide. Our midfield's our main red flag at the moment. They can at least break even. I reckon we should win this. But what do you guys think?
First of all, hey, Tiggs, who's your ins and outs? Give it to us, baby. Come on.
Oh, look, to be honest with you.
Hawley's out.
Hawley's out. We know that. So I'd go, okay, Hawley's out, so Mansell comes in for me. I'd be looking at Short, and he needs a kick up his ass. So I'd probably drop Short and Georgie. I'll drop both of those boys. And look, and I'm going to make a few changes here. You're going to be dropping, obviously, Hawley's injured, Short's out. George is playing like he's got COVID. So, like the ball COVID, he doesn't want to go near it. He's giving it
couldn't
today.
even catch COVID, mate. That's how he's going.
Jesus, he's giving it too much space. So so he'll be out. So those three, Mansell will come in. I'll put Parker in, right? I'll put him in George's spot and say, mate, just run up and down half forward line. Try to be our Lambert. You've got a bit of an engine on you. You got a bit of speed, but you can hit people with a tackle quite hard. So do that. I really want to drop Chol, but we've got no one else to replace him with.
Correct.
And then I was looking on the thing and I was going, well, Hugo Ralph-Smith, give him a go on the wing, drop Camden McIntosh. He's played 4 weeks now of horrendous football. He gets a ton of it. He's running at, what's he run statistics right, by foot? 38%. In his last 3 games by foot? No. Sorry, Camden. Go back and have a bit of a freshen up, mate. You're probably overworked.
Fair enough. CB, who are your ins and outs?
Rightio. So I've got Hawley out as injured. I have George out due to form. I've got CCJ out injured, and I've got K-Mac out due to form. My ins, I've got Josh Caddy back onto a wing. I've got Parker in as a forward. I've got Mansell coming back in to replace Basher. I want Sydney Stack as my sub. And I reckon we're probably going to have to bring Miller in because I did have a look at the Pies lineup last week. They were playing Mason Cox. So they're going to be tallish enough, and we will need another tall guy to cover him because unfortunately with Broad and Bolter out, that does leave us a little bit short. So I've got Miller coming in just purely to cover one of the talks or however the rotations work. That's where I'm sort of at. What about you, Michaels?
Yeah, no, that's a good call with the Pies. I don't know, obviously, if these all will play this week, but with Cameron, Myercheck, Grundy and Cox, we do need to get that additional height down there because if the ball comes in as fast as what we're allowing midfields to do, we're going to be in all sorts of trouble. So this is where we kind of miss Brody. He just is that really nice height to take one of those guys. It's not until they're gone we think shit would be handy to have him in. But I want to see Stack in. I think he's been working his ass off back in the twos, and I definitely want to see Matty Parker get a game. The tackle numbers alone for me is enough to get him in. I know we shouldn't just all base it off one sort of stat line, and I know he struggled to kick a goal and he's missed a few easy ones, but his intent, his work rate, his harassment, I think it's just the spark that we need to kind of G up some of the boys. Like he's going to have a crack for the 4 quarters he's playing. So I'd love to see him in, and I agree with Mansell in for Basher, so who hopefully can come back after the injury. But Yeah, it's a huge danger game. It's one of those ones where you feel like no matter how bad the Pies have been playing, and us, they would see how bad we're going and really work themselves up for this one. They'll give themselves a genuine chance, knowing that any amount of pressure applied to us has seen us kind of crumble.
Karen Aldrich, I love you, but a bit harsh. Her comment, are you drunk on a Monday? Caddy should never be back in.
She's spot on.
I got smashed.
Yeah, but there was a good point there. It's kind of one side note. It's going to be interesting seeing Kmart Dusty versus the real Dusty. See what that does to the real Dusty. You know, does it fire him up?
Can you just see the Channel 7 montage now of the one game that Cox played 15 years ago, and you can see how Channel 7's going to run with this bad boy. And also, we were a bit rude. Hello, Morgs, my darling. We haven't mentioned her. Hello, Morgs. If you're watching,
yes, our resident Collingwood supporter, just seeing how much we shit can her beloved Pies. So we're not going to, Morgs. If you're still in the chat, let us know what you think the Pies ins and outs might be, and that might help us with further discussion. But what kind of matchups are you blokes looking at for this weekend?
Well, I got 4 written down.
Yeah, go ahead. You lead on, Sebe.
So I had Lynch versus Roughhead. I had Miller versus Myercheck, Grimes versus Elliott, and Asprey versus Cameron. And the Pies, because it depends. If the problem will be Myercheck, if I'd imagine Mason Cox will be starting on the ground, so I'm assuming that Miller will actually have to take Grundy. Miller will have to take Cox, which is effectively two VFL players going at each other. But like I said, it's Asprey's going to have to take Cameron because he's the bigger forward for them. And and Myercheck and Elliott are actually the two dangers, I think. They're the two that might pop up and cause us some dramas.
Matchup-wise, I think they will. With our outs, they're what's going to cause us the biggest headaches, I think.
Yeah. Lee sort of stole my thunder a little bit. Good post, Lee. Mansell and Elliott's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Mansell, I rate him as a small defender. He locks on, he's disciplined, he's hard at it. He obviously is early in his career, so he doesn't do the offensive run that we like in a halfback. But he's a disciplined kid, and I'd love to see him on Elliott. It's going to be an education for him. Elliott's still a danger person. I reckon we've got the tools to manage Myercheck. He's not as quick. So we've got Asprey, which is a bigger body, and I agree with Miller as well. But, Mansell for Elliott. If Mansell can at least break even with Elliott, it's a huge win for us winning the game. Obviously, Dusty on Kmart is going to be epic for me.
The ball's going to get thrown up. They're both going to run separate ways and try and chase offensively, aren't they?
You're going to get Kmart start to showboat. You're going to get Kmart.
You get told that name.
Kmart will actually go for the ball. He'll play his best game he's played all year because he wants to show the big Dusty that he's worthy, But look, and the other one, big one for me is Cochin on side bottom or Cochin on their premier mid. I'd love to see
anyone Cochin on side bottom would be nice. Anyone at all.
That's it. But I put Cochin on, let's say Pendles, and say, okay, Koch, you're out of form. Here's a challenge, mate. Go tag the shit out of Pendles. Graham, get on side bottom. Don't let him breathe. And just see how the game goes. We don't player tag, but sometimes when you're out of form, it's good to run with the person and beat them on a one-on-one and then build your confidence from that. So hopefully that's what we trial.
Taylor Adams is their best midfielder. Right?
Tay-Tay.
And he's a serious – Tay-Tay's a serious player. He's a very, very good footballer. And the one move I want to see us do, and that's why I said with my ins and outs, Baker must go into the midfield this week. He must go in there and gives a little bit of speed and nippiness around those packs.
I love Baker. He's just going to learn how to fucking tackle properly. I'm sorry. I'm getting fucking fed up with every time he tackles, it's a free kick. And he's only 5'3". He should not be given head-high free kicks at his height.
To be fair, mate, a lot of our players do that.
Yeah, but Baker, a lot of our players, but Baker, because he's young, it's becoming ingrained into him, and it's fucking shitting me. Absolutely shitting me. So if he's going to play midfield, he has to learn. Graham did. Jack Graham used to be notorious at the start, but he got better at it. So,
Glenn had a good point about the Collingwood defence line maybe being somewhere we can exploit. So they've got Rufford down there, who's a handy defender. And then they've got Maynard, Noble, Quaynor, Majan, and Main, who obviously it's going to rotate around a bit. But I think this is where the importance of having Lynch back, and hopefully he maintains that form. And Jack's obviously closing in on 700 goals. So I think the tall timber might not trouble them, but it's going to keep them honest. It's just we've got to get the ball in quick enough and lower the eyes and try and hit a leading forward and give ourselves half a chance. We can't be going in at 38% efficiency again.
Yeah.
And we just need the smalls to be dangerous. I know you've said it a lot, CB, over the weeks, but we just need to get dangerous.
People justifying George. You don't understand what he does. Mate, he's a small forward. It's great he tackles and runs. At some stage, he's got to kick him through the friggin' big sticks. He's kicked 1 goal in 3 weeks.
The thing is,
we make Rioli a natural forward, a defender, and play him in the reserves. How about we release some friggin' shackles off these guys and say, you know what, be a little more offensive-minded and don't be afraid to have a fucking shot when you're 40 out. Like, the aim of the game is still kick a goal, not tackle run. So I understand defence, but at some stage, all that pressure and work has to result in scoring, and it's not. So
the problem with George is I was his biggest defender, and I always to be one of those guys. CB was just screaming at, having a tanty. I say, no, you don't see. He's running to the space, blocking the lane from the opposition. He won't get a touch, but he's actually changed the opposed board movement. That's really important. Watch a lot of his unrewarded running. That's what he's doing, right? Because that's what Daniel Rioli was doing. And when we drop Daniel Rioli, that's what George is taking up. The difference, though, is he's not getting to contests at all now. And when he does get into a contest, like he showed it against Gold Coast, he doesn't know what to do. And this is chaos. This is the chaos man, right? We all love. He's playing confused football. So he needs to be dropped. And you're right, CB, we need to release the shackles a little bit. But the reason I've got real worries with Daniel Rioli, I think his confidence got shot so bad. His strength was the ability to read the play. That's why we used him as similar to, he was a pairing with Lambert, lead really, really high up, great, and then run back to goal. Since his foot and then his form's dropped and it stayed that way and we've continually played him, I'm happy that they're trying him in the back half just to let him have a bit of fun in the VFL before we put him back in the seniors. Maybe this is the game he comes back in, goes back to his old role, which is George's role, and George goes in the Magoos. Who knows? But look, make no mistake, this game, Collingwood's a lot more injury less. They're more fit than we are in relation to fit players. They've got more weapons than we do. So it's going to be if we win this, it'll be a really good win.
All right. With that said, let's get a final tip and margins. CB.
Do you want my heart or my head?
All right, let's do a head.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Do whatever you like. We all know you don't have a heart, mate. So
my head says Collingwood by 10 points. And free kicks 20-16 Collingwood's favour. I think we'll get a final goodbye present from Stephen Hawking on the weekend. But I honestly say that with a pretty heavy heart, but we are playing that devoid of confidence, and we've got too many injured blokes on the park, and I just can see if the Pies get their tails up, they're going to be – I don't think we've got the go in us to curtail them at this stage. We're going to need to smash them and get on them early if we're going to win. So my head says Pies by 10. My heart says Richmond, I want it by 4 goals. So there you go.
Listeners and viewers, send through your tips for margins as well. We'll post a few up. Before we do yours, Tiggs, sorry, I just saw a comment about Rioli. Did everyone see Rioli's goal in the Tiz? I'm sure we all saw it on Twitter. When he just burst away. Nice to see the young man have a nice running goal like that. I'm hoping we'll see a bit more of that in the years to come. Tiggs?
And just on him, the reason we don't play him is not because of his ability. He's just a young body. We play him now, we'll break him. He's still very, very, very light. Look, it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. If I go by head, I actually think Lynch, Dusty might get us over the line. Those two boys.
Morgs.
I think they might get us over the line. Yeah, there's a lot of hope in that, but so let's say Richmond by 8 points. It's going to be a close one. What really gives me a little bit of confidence on that is the Collingwood game plan. If they come out in the first quarter and go, okay, we're going to match you, we're going to go for a shootout, then it could, be anything. But I don't think they will. So, Richmond by 8, Freeze, Collingwood 26, Richmond 18. And they'll get a run of 9 in the last quarter to stuff out, to make it really close.
And for the record, if we do get up, I will not take it personally if next broadcast a few of you stick it up me, right? I hope I am wrong. So if I'm wrong, Tigers get up, feel free to just smash me next week. I'm okay with that.
We'll leave the first 10 minutes of the show open for that to take place as well, if anyone's keen. I said it last week, but I'll say it again this week. It's about the response. Like, I know we said surely we can't play that bad 2 weeks in a row, but surely we can't do it 3 weeks in a row. I mean, the boys must be cutting it real deep, deep down. They must be hurt. They know they need to win this to get back into the 8, assuming that the Giants lose a game at some stage. I'll say Tigers by 16 points. Very hopeful of that anyway. And free kick count, it's not going to end well. I reckon Collingwood 25, Richmond 17. But we just need to see the response, which we didn't see last week. But, it's going to be interesting to see how we go. And make sure Tiger folks that can go to the game do get out to the game, because dickheads in the media decide to take pot shots at our supporter base for not going to a game where the tickets were released at 10 a.m. the morning of the game on a Thursday night. Just absolute batshit crazy stuff going on. So make sure if you can, I think it's all been announced today or tomorrow, make sure we do get your tickets and get out there, even though it is a bit of a shit time slot.
Yeah, I had this little flog on Twitter going on about, attendances and stuff. And credit to the dude who posted all the actual week lead in attendances. We've got the most members. Go fuck off. That's what I say.
Yeah, exactly right. So
I'm making it as clean as I can. I could go on a tanty right now, and I'm not.
No. Very good, Ralph. Good work going to the game. Mito going to the game. Very good. No, I hope be nice and loud. So bit of a shit time slot. What did we say? It was 4:10 this Sunday. Make sure we all get along, and hopefully the Tigers can get something going, because we need to get a win on the board ASAP.
And make sure you have a new Twitter account for everyone to follow too. I got alerted to this one from Elton John's wig, right? There's a thing out there called AFL Great Kane Corns at @staff_Kane. If you want to see a genuine funny parody account, get on board that and you will not be disappointed. Just look it up. I'll tag you in one. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's very clever.
And just my benefit to our loyal community, mate, just my tip for Sundays, don't drive your car, don't bring your purse, don't bring your wallet. All right? So just remember that. Prepay your Uber because, you're playing Collingwood.
Yeah, hopefully it's a good game. And make sure everyone listening that you subscribe to us on our YouTube or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, etc. We'll keep putting posts out there and many more episodes to come. And fingers crossed we're not coming on Monday night after a loss. It's going to be pretty raw and pretty shit. But let's go, Tigers, get up this week, and hopefully we can get back onto the winners list.
Yeah, keep positive, people. Keep positive. It's still a big way to go in the season. Don't be gloom like these two pricks. Keep keep positive. Like me. Keep positive.
All right. Stay safe, everyone, and we will see you all on Monday. And go Tigers for Sunday.
Yeah, go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Smash the Skunks.
Smash the filth.